specific solutions, stumbling forth so you can step with confidence. Hello and welcome to another day in the shop. One deficiency we've been working around for a while is that this saddle doesn't have any measurement on this axis. There's no dials, there's no indicators, there's nothing. Back in the day, people figured this out and invented something called the Trav-a-Dial. So this right here has a little disc that rolls on the front, and you press it up against your lathe and you press it up, but I have to figure out how to attach this to that. The best location I can think of is right here on the side. It's a nice flat surface. So the goal is to create something like this. So I'm just going to tack the two corners and then weld the brace across the bottom. This method of measurement's pretty dang accurate. The human eye could actually see only a couple thou gap. This appears to be larger. Let's see if we can fix that. That right there is good enough for me. I for sure definitely know everything. You know how I know everything? I know how to look it up. Three and a half centimeters. Why isn't I'm absolutely astonished at how accurate you can get with layouts. When you use calipers to mark and scribe, you can find the scribe line with the tip of your punch, and it seats right into the exact location that you scribed, and then you thwack a hole into it with a hammer, and then when you start to go drill, you just push your drill down into this little mark. So you can get some astonishing results. Thread, drill sizes, give me tables. Hole size for tapping. Check your work, multiple sources. Number 3! Expensive lesson. I bought a cheap drill index. Look, number 3. But these drills are made out of cheese. Spend money on your drills. They'll last more than once. I heard from some YouTuber or another, I think it was Martin from Winter Gun, you should always countersink if you're gonna tap. Apparently it just makes things, you know, actually seat right. Here's an opportunity to learn from my mistakes. If you gotta put a bunch of features on a part, just do it before you weld it all up. Does anyone know a better way to identify taps than finding a nut that fits and trying to fit it onto one of these taps? It's a huge pain.
You found the...
A drill and a transfer punch are basically the same thing, right? Put some paint on the drill. Get it to right depth. Alright. Here comes the part that I do not like. Let's just not do that. It totally moved. So let's do a big old punch. Splooch. There's another hole. Splooch. Alright, next up is the less dramatic, more scary moment where I attempt to tap the lathe. If you mess this up, you're gonna have a bad time. Now, unfortunately, the tap wrench won't fit here, but a 1/4 inch socket extension gets me a little bit of reach. Alright, let's get this thing installed. It was getting loose. I was afraid it was already stripping. I'm not going to tighten these all that tight. I don't think they need to be. The set screws on the far side are going to be real hard to get to. So we're just going to tighten one side and consider it good enough. Okay, moment of truth. Does the dial turn? No. So the first order of business for calibration is to ensure that it is parallel horizontally to the ways. This thing wasn't repeating, so I put a test indicator on there. Oof, these are so fussy. Back this off just a bit. Measuring off the buttons wasn't doing very much for me. I tried it a couple times and it was still pretty consistently off. I'd like to take a minute to clarify how I'm adjusting the position of the Trav-a-Dial during calibration. Due to a lack of footage, we'll have to make do with the model. There we go. If we look underneath, we can see that there are 4 screws, 2 on the left and the right pulling it downwards, and 2 on the front and back pushing it upwards. By tightening and loosening the left and right, the dial can be tipped side to side, and by adjusting the front and back, it can be tipped forward and backward. One unfortunate consequence of the resulting swing is that the dial body slides forward and backward. While there is a slight spring in the bracket to take this up, large motions have to be compensated by releasing the set screws on the dovetails and sliding the dial appropriately. So what I've been doing now is starting it at 0, cranking it all the way until it touches the chuck, and then cranking it back so I'm getting a really consistent amount of travel. And then I see that this dial is to the left of the 0 by 2 thou. And now we're 4 over. So I see that the needle is to the left. So I'm going to tip it to the left by tightening this a hair and loosening this a hair. Touch tighter. And then loosen this by a roughly equivalent amount. 0 these. 0. 0. Great. And now it's a little to the right by 1 thou. So next up is the absolute calibration, which I'm a little concerned about. Oh, there's all sorts of cosine error in this boy. Hold the phone. Alright, that's square enough for me. Let's get these both zeroed. There's an inch. Alright, so it's reading too high by 4 thou. So because it's reading too high, I tip it chin down forward. So I tighten this by about 1/6 of a turn. I loosen that. By about 4. Well, let's try again. 1/6 of a turn. 1/6 of a turn. I'm gonna go a lot more. Yeah, this thing needs to be backed off just a little. It's too tight. We're gonna have to do all of our calibrations over, but whatever. Alright, after much fussing, let's see how this does. Gives us repeat within 2 thou, an absolute is dead on, repeats back to 0. Repeats under, which is the opposite of last time. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm going to call it good for now. We'll keep fussing this in as time goes on, but there we go.